The 2024-2025 NBA season is officially in the books, and man, what a season it was. First of all, I just want to thank you guys so much for your amazing support all throughout this season. This was the first NBA season that we were able to cover all the way through. Last year, we started off really, really late. We started the podcast back up around the time of the plan, so we didn't get to cover the season as a whole. And this year was our first time, and man, was it a ton of fun! It was probably one of the most unpredictable seasons that I've ever experienced as an NBA fan, and that's saying a lot. I started watching the NBA seriously around 2015, 2016. So it's about my ninth or 10th season going through watching it in full. And my goodness, was it super, super exciting. Having all of the talks in the beginning of the season of the potential changes that the NBA could make to make their product a lot more exciting because people were just so tired of the style of play, leading into things like the NBA trade deadline and the unexpected trades that happened. Of course, the Luka Doncic trade to the Los Angeles Lakers. You had things like a three-team trade that sent De'Aaron Fox to the San Antonio Spurs, Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings. The injuries of Victor Wembanyama, who is looked at as one of the future of that is looked at as the future face of the NBA, the future likely best player in the world potentially of the NBA, going down with injury. And then, of course, just leading all throughout the playoffs. So many unexpected teams, putting themselves at the top of each conference, whether it was the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder being the top two teams in the league this year. You had teams that just a year or two ago were in absolute shambles and were trying their best to really make big time moves to create young cores to really rebuild, like the Detroit Pistons and the Houston Rockets. The Rockets, especially being the second seed in what was an absolute bloodbath of a Western Conference, and of course the Detroit Pistons getting all the way to the sixth seed. You had teams that were still trying to keep their dynasty, their core together, and their core continuing to win games like the Denver Nuggets and whatnot with all the injuries that they went to. And through all of this, you had so many unexpected underdogs and some amazing games and upsets, especially like the New York Knicks defeating the defending champions in the Boston Celtics. You had the Indiana Pacers making it all the way to the NBA Finals and forcing the number one team in the Oklahoma City Thunder all the way to 7 games and having a fighting chance through the first 3 quarters, which we will talk about in just a second. You had the Minnesota Timberwolves making it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. The Denver Nuggets taking the Oklahoma City Thunder to 7 games. The Cleveland Cavaliers getting upset by the Pacers. You had unexpected injuries like the Orlando Magic, who at one point lost both of their stars in Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. And all throughout the playoffs and all throughout the regular season, there were just so many amazing moments. And it's just magical what the NBA continues to do year by year. Even when we're talking about, the potential of a product change, we still tune into these games and these players continue to surprise us and give us amazing moments and moments that me as a journalist, as a spectator, as an analyst will never, ever, ever forget. It was absolutely amazing. But I want to talk a little bit more just about the final game of the NBA Finals, Game 7 between the Pacers and the Thunder. It was as intense as you could get. There was a lot of talk at the beginning of these finals with things like the court decor not being proper on the court, representing the NBA Finals and the scoreboard and whatnot. People just not really feeling like it was the NBA Finals. And I think that this game tonight really showcased the intensity of a true finals game. You felt like all of the cards were on the table. You didn't know which direction this game was really going to go because the Pacers have continued to surprise us coming back late, late in the game, being down 12, 13 points and still being able to pull off miracles. Even at some points, leading and just in game 6 beating the Thunder by, what was it, 15, 16 plus points, the biggest blowout win of this series. Then, of course, you have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the youngest team now ever to win the NBA Finals. Huge congratulations to them for doing that. And had just such a big time chokehold on the NBA this year. And even when, they faced off against a veteran experienced team like the Denver Nuggets, who had just won a championship, not so long ago, 2 years ago, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who had gone to battles with the best of the best in the West, even when OKC was put on the back foot, when they were put against the wall, you never really felt like you could count them out. And that really showed up in tonight's game. It was really, really sad, obviously, to see in the beginning, to see Tyrese Halliburton, one of the most lovable stars of this league, have to go down, likely with a torn Achilles. We're not sure 100% what the full on injury is at this moment, but to go down with the torn Achilles, my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. I'm really, really hoping that he is able to come back the same way that he was, especially in this series, because he just brings so much energy. He is so electric to that Pacers team and to every matchup that they go into. His ability to score the basketball, especially from beyond the 3 point line, his ability to create shots for his teammates, it's something special. And he just has such a great vibe to him. He has such a great attitude. He continues to fight, and I'm hoping that he can fight through this. And credit to the Pacers, because when a moment like that happens, you'd likely think that that would absolutely destroy a team, right? You just lost your leader, the guy that gives you those positive energy and those positive vibes on your team, and they fought through. They went into halftime virtually tied with the OKC Thunder. I think that they were actually leading the Thunder at the half. Pascal Siakam and TJ McConnell did a really, really great job at savoring that first half. And then you have TJ McConnell coming out in the third quarter and keeping the Pacers all the way through it, scoring, I believe, 16 points alone in the third quarter. His north to south type of aggression that he has, his calculated attacks going down low to the rim, were just tearing OKC apart. And you were starting to get a little bit worried for the Thunder that, when you knew that they were going to make a run, but when is it going to happen? They began to run out of time, but then finally they were able to step on the gas in the fourth quarter. Indiana, once again, their turnovers absolutely killed them, with 22 total turnovers, I believe, just in those four quarters alone. And then, of course, with Hallie gone, you didn't have a big time leader. You didn't really have a big time scorer to go out and get you a 30+ point game. And that honestly has been the biggest weakness of Indiana all series long. They just didn't have a go to player in the clutch time that could get you consistent bucket after bucket after bucket. And the Thunder have that in the form of SGA. They have that in the form of J Dub, and they have suitable role players around them, 3-and-D type of guys like Caruso, Dort, and Casey Wallace, who just make the the game winning type plays that just annoys you as an opposing fan, watching them, getting these little tips behind and forcing steals, hitting tough 3 pointers, grabbing big time rebounds, blocking shots and whatnot. They just make the winning plays, and this was a formula that put the Oklahoma City Thunder in the position that they are now. And with their youth, with their talent, if they can continue to keep this roster around, I don't see a world where they couldn't, at least go back to back next year, if not three-peat. I mean, their formula is so great. They have so much amazing length. They have guys that are willing to put their bodies on the line, that are willing to hustle. Isaiah Hartenstein especially was a big part of that. They have an 11, 12 man deep roster, and they still have 2 first round picks in this year's draft that they could add to that. I mean, the resources are almost unlimited at this point. Sam Presti has done a really, really amazing job at putting this core together, and now he's beginning to see and reap the benefits. And it's really cool to see. And it's cool to see SGA get his ring as well. I know that there were a lot of doubters out here doubting him following his MVP win over Nikola Jokic, me especially as a Nuggets fan. But he performed, man. And the Pacers, especially not having a real suitable matchup against him, he absolutely thrashed through them in this series, and he 100% deserves it. So congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Congratulations to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm excited to see what lies ahead. Again, hope that Tyrese Halliburton can get better, and shout out to the Indiana Pacers for making this an intense, competitive, and just fun overall series and fun overall playoffs. And I wouldn't doubt if we see them here again next year. But really, guys, that's all from me today. I just really want to thank you guys for all of your amazing support throughout this past season. I can't wait to continue to put out more and more content, especially with the NBA draft coming next week. Look out for a Kevin Durant trade summary episode tomorrow. We're going to have the final NBA mock draft there on either Tuesday or Wednesday. And then we're hopefully going to have a live broadcast for the NBA draft on Wednesday night. So look out all for that. I want to thank you guys so much for your support. If you haven't already, go down below and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, share with your friends. And as always, follow all of our social medias going down below and looking at all those ads: Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. There's so much more content to be made, and I'm so excited to make it for you guys. But again, once again, not trying to repeat myself, but thank you guys so much. You guys allow me to have one of the coolest freelance jobs ever, just covering the game that I love, speaking my truth. I love all of your guys' criticism down below, the positives, the negatives. It just makes me better, and it fuels me to want to be a better journalist and fuels me to want to be a better analyst, because this is what I want to do for my life. And sports, once again, this year shows that even in the bad times that we're having in the world, they can have such a positive light, such a positive impact on our lives, and can really take us out of that zone and take us to kind of that storybook type of setting. And it's just so fun to be a part of. So for the final time, thank you guys so much for your support. Congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was an amazing, amazing season. I can't wait to cover next year's season. And without further ado, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys have an amazing start to your week. Please be safe out there. And I will see you guys on the next one. Love you all. Peace.